Welcome to the Church Answers podcast. My name is Thom Rainer. Jess Rainer is on vacation. And, I sometimes give him a hard time about being on vacation. You know what that guy's doing? That dude is taking his middle child, his daughter, on a daddy-daughter trip to Disney World, which is he takes each of his children on a trip when they are about to become teenagers, and she's about to turn 13. So I am not going to complain about that at all. I'm just going to say more power to him for being a good daddy and for loving my granddaughter the way he does. She's an incredible granddaughter, as are all my grandchildren are incredible grandchildren. But just want to mention, I don't know if I'll mention it in all three podcasts where he's on vacation, but I'll mention it on this one. Hey, we have a new sponsor for this month, and it's a sponsor that we love a whole lot, and it's called Church Answers University. Church Answers University is a 10-course process, all online, textbook, listen to digital videos, and then take a test, but the test is pass-fail, and you can take it over as well. And after you're done with that, you know what you can do? You can take those courses and apply them toward a master's degree. And you can apply them toward an MA in Biblical Studies at Redemption Seminary. So I encourage you to sign up for Church Answers University. It will save you a lot of money because all of those 9 hours that you get toward the master's degree, you will not have to pay at Redemption Seminary. Pay the much lower price at Church Answers University. So go in and get your certification. And if you want to go into the master's, you don't have to. But if you want to go into the master's, you can. Look at it in our show notes, or just go to Church Answers University at churchanswers.com. All right, what we are going to do, well, should I be speaking in first person plural since Jess isn't here? I know that it's acceptable at times, so I'm just going to go and do it anyway. What we are going to do is we're going to look at some numbers. Oh, gosh, that sounds so incredibly boring. Tom's going to talk about numbers. Well, maybe. I'm not going to claim that it's not boring. I'm just simply going to say, I hope I can make it not so boring. And I'll do this in many of the podcasts where I am talking about a single church number. And I'll tell you where I got the number and what the significance of the number is and whether there's validity to the numbers, because you'll see in this particular number that there's not always a certainty that this number is correct. But having said that, let's go to the number itself. The number is 62%. That's your church number for this episode. 62%. What does 62% represent? The percentage of churchgoers who attend weekly. Now, let me say that again. 62% of churchgoers attend weekly. Where did this information come from? It came from the 2023 FACT or Faith Community Study, a broad-based study of surveys of church and church life and church members. And I was stunned when I saw this number. It's not something that, at least from an observational, anecdotal point of view, that I see. But I get into that. But it's an amazing number. 62% of churchgoers in this massive tens of thousands of people taking the survey over many, many years. This would be the latest data, 2023. And they are saying what? We attend worship services every week. Huh? Almost 2/3 attend every week. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. First of all, what does this number actually mean? Well, it's a number that, again, comes from the 2023 FACT study, the Faith Communities Today study, and it's a respected national survey of American congregational life, and they do it across many, many years. 2023 was an odd update, but they wanted to get a little more current data since the pandemic, and so the 2020 numbers did not reflect that because they were really looking back on 2019, and so 2023 is the first post-pandemic data. So again, I admit that I am shocked at that number. Do I believe it? I'm not sure I do. but it is a massive study, and so I don't need to just throw it out because it goes against my expectations. I mean, that's poor research when you do that. So the first thing, it comes from the 2023 fact study, the Faith Communities Study. Okay, here's one thing you need to remember. In almost all churches, attendance behavior per person is self-reported. Let me say that again. In almost all churches, attendance behavior per person is self-reported. Yeah, we know that you can count how many people are in a worship service. We know that churches have pretty accurate ways of doing that, whether they are a church of 40 or whether they are a church of 4,000 in attendance. Churches have ways of counting who is there. But this is not just an aggregate count. This is answering the question, how many of these people attend every week? They're in the pattern of attending every week. So the first thing that you have to hear is this. Weekly attendance is self-reported. Does that mean we have a bunch of liars in this survey? I would say this. I think the halo effect is in operation here. What is the halo effect? Well, if someone is attending twice a month, they may say, I'm really here almost every Sunday. And they may have checked off, I attend every worship service, every Sunday. And they see themselves as an active attender. And so they just said, yeah, sure, I attend every Sunday. That's speculation on my part. I don't know that. But if they have a regular habitual form of attendance, they may just self-report that they are attending every week. So the question that I ask here about this number, is this number surprisingly high? It sure is. I never would have gotten a guess close to this amount, 62%. Is it possible that this number truly reflects a more committed church core? The answer to that question is yes. Thom, aren't you contradicting yourself? On the one hand, you say the number is surprisingly high. Yeah, it is. On the other hand, you said it probably reflects a more committed church core. Here's where I am on this. And this is based upon consultations, case studies, anecdotal information, in addition to the quantitative data that you are hearing here. What I think is happening is that people are becoming more committed. They are being led by Gen X, Gen Z, and probably pretty soon by Gen Alpha, where attendance patterns are changing for the better, are more frequent. And so I do think we are headed toward a more committed core where more and more people are attending every week. Is 62% high? Probably. Now, again, I can't go against the numbers. The numbers themselves say, hey, it's 62%. So that's all I can do right now. So I can just report the numbers, and I can say, okay, it's probably high, but it does reflect a higher commitment level. So that's what the 62% number actually means. Now, what is some of the encouragement behind the statistics? We have been hearing stories after story of decline. This reported attendance rate of 62% is a sign that more believers are attending regularly. This is what I really believe, and I believe that they're being led by Gen Z and the next generation, Gen Alpha. Some may be in there with Gen X and millennials, the boomers, not as much, but I really think that we are beginning to see some things there. And even if this number is not precise, it is good enough for me to say, I think we've got a very positive trend going. I do think that believers are attending more regularly. So who are these believers that are attending more regularly? Again, it's the committed core. There does seem to be, and maybe seem is not even strong enough, maybe there is a greater level of commitment among regular churchgoers than I have seen in my lifetime. And I've got a pretty long lifetime. And for me to say that is a pretty big statement, but it's not hyperbolic. It's the real thing. We are seeing more committed churchgoers. Sure, there are those on the fringe. Sure, they're the CEO Christians, Christmas, Easter only. Sure, they're those that don't have this type of commitment level. And yes, 62% is likely high, the self-reported number. But I would just simply say here, this is telling me something about trends that are positive. So, what do we say here? We say that this is a strong foundation for the church health and revitalization. And as we talk about church health, I just got to come back to our sponsor, our partner in ministry that we love, Upward Sports, and Upward Sports is, I tell you, I was speaking to the director of marketing. I think it was an email or a text or something like that, and I told her name's Jennifer McGraw of Upward. I said, Jennifer, sometimes I feel like a walking billboard for Upward Sports, and she liked that. It was a positive statement for her, but I'm not doing that just because there is a sponsorship involved. I'm doing that because I believe in Upward Sports. I believe that they are one of the primary ways, in some areas, the way to reach into the community where you could not reach into the community otherwise. And so, Upward Sports, look at them, check them out. If you want maybe to put your toe in the water, go to Upward Sports for the 5K challenge. The 5K challenge, you just need one dedicated person in your church to do that. You don't have to have any type of court or fill. So just try the 5K challenge. Go to upward.org/runcoach. That's upward.org/runcoach. Love the folks at Upward. So back to the church number. The church number is 62%. The percentage of churchgoers who, according to the FACT study, the Faith Community Study, 62% of churchgoers report, there's the key, report attending weekly. A lot of encouragement here, a lot of hope, even if the number is not precise. Now, I do want to give a caveat that may be a caution. And here is that caution. Beneath the surface of all this, we have to ask the question, does this more committed attendance equal engagement of or discipleship? And the bottom line is we don't know. Can we say because someone is attending that they are a more committed disciple of Christ? No, we cannot say it with a definitive word. But I will say this, the local church is so incredibly powerful. The local church is God's plan A for ministry until Jesus returns, and he didn't give us a plan B. The local church can engender deep, deep discipleship in our church members. And so even though the 62% number is incredibly exciting, and even though we're offering caution for this number, I would just simply say this. I do think, despite those cautions, despite those caveats, I do believe that this is something that we can celebrate and monitor with great hope. Certainly there's caution. It doesn't mean we're automatically making disciples because they're attending more frequently. But I will say this, if someone is attending more frequently, he or she is in a worship service, hearing the word of God preached. That person is in a worship service, singing praises or hymns with other people. That person might be in a small group or Sunday school class, learning the word of God and being in deeper fellowship. That person may be more likely to be mentored. So the bottom line for all of this is encouraging. It doesn't prove deeper discipleship, but it gives us a good trend that indicates we may be headed in that direction. All right, so you pastors and other church leaders, I've been going on about this 62%. Again, seems high, but at the same time, it seems encouraging. What do we do with this data? Well, let's just say it's true. Let's run with it. Let's celebrate those who are consistently attending. Let's let them know how much we appreciate their faithfulness. Let's remind people of how important the local church is. In other words, give attention to the 62%, but also look out for those 38% who may be drifting. from once a week to twice a month to once a month to twice a year to gone. Watch those trends. Celebrate those who are attending every week, but watch carefully those who are drifting. Use this as a discipleship checkpoint. Are people just attending or growing? Again, my bias is this. If they are attending, they are more likely growing. Yes, attendance does not exactly equal discipleship. I get that. You can attend church and never grow at all. I get that. But you are more likely to grow if you're attending church for the reasons that I have stated others. So you can use this as a discipleship checkpoint. What are we doing with those who are attending more frequently? How are we discipling them? Do we have a plan in place, and are we executing the plan? And then finally, develop ministry strategies for both the committed and the casual. There's some things that the casuals will do that they wouldn't do if they were more committed. That's just a fact of life. That's just a fact of church. And so as you develop ministry plans, keep in mind that you're going to have a significant number of your people who are not consistently attending on a given Sunday, and you're going to have a significant number who are. And while you don't have to differentiate your ministries completely for them, be aware of that. One of the things that I've asked many churches to consider in consultations that I do, they say, well, how do we start reaching out? I say two things. Number one, have a letter writing ministry, handwritten letters. You can give them some guides on what to write, but write political leaders, write people in the community, write those who've attended, write those who are your neighbors, and just do a handwritten letter. I mean, that's simple. You can use almost anyone in your church to do that. Another thing I recommend is the Hope Initiative, and using the book called Pray and Go for a 30-day kickstart on moving your people to a greater prayerful attitude and a greater outward focus. Those two things. Do that, and you're beginning to reach a lot of other people. So use this as a discipleship checkpoint. Develop ministry strategies for both the committed and the casual. Well, the church number, 62%. Am I excited about it? Yes. Am I certain that it's right? No. Do I see it as a positive trend? Yes. Something's happening. Something's happening in local churches. Something's happening with all generations, but particularly the younger adults. And I'm referring specifically to Gen Z. Gen Alpha will follow shortly. You see, I have 5 Gen Z grandchildren and 5 Gen Alpha grandchildren. And I'm following these types of trends carefully because I not only care about the church for today, I care about the church for the future until Jesus comes. And seeing trends like this give me a whole lot of hope. The church number, 62%. The percentage of churchgoers who say they attend weekly in the 2023 Faith Community Study. Again, I'm not sure if it's accurate or precise, but it is a very good trend. Hey, before we close out, let me remind you of our certification ministry, our certificate diploma ministry called Church Answers University. Many church members and church leaders are using Church Answers University in lieu of a degree or ministry degree. They are using it to equip people within their church. It has 10 courses, 10 textbooks, 10 sets of lectures, all video driven, all digital so that you can watch it whenever you want to and go at whatever pace you want to. And pass-fail tests, and you can take them over. So obviously you will pass them. But it's great material. And even more so, if you so desire, you can take your training from Church Answers University, which you can probably finish in about 6 months. And you'll get 9 hours credit towards your Master's of Art in Biblical Studies at Redemption Seminary. You can see more about that at our website at churchanswers.com, and specifically look for Church Answers University. 1/4 of your degree done by going through Church Answers University. Check it out, sign up, and if you decide you want to apply that toward a master's, you can. But if you don't, it's still a really good certification or diploma is something that you can use to equip people in your church to do the work of ministry. Once again, on behalf of the vacationing Jess Rayner, my name is Thom Rayner. We have been happy to host you at the Church Answers podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode.